Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and whatever that ugly thing is, to my updated guide on how to create the strongest Zoe. Since the prior one became irrelevant and outdated 2 weeks later with the release of Palworld 1.0. Which, by the way, I have been absolutely addicted to. Since the update released, I've already dedicated more than 100 additional hours to this game, and I'll dedicate 100 more without hesitation. But let's get to the point. With this new update, a lot of possibilities have become available that push the boundaries of what was once believed to be the pinnacle of strength for humans. And while our test subject for this experiment, Zoe, may not be entirely willing to be subjected to more horrors, I am a man of the people, and the people have decided that they want to see Zoe go even further beyond. That being said, the people also decided that I sound like a Reddit mod, so maybe I actually don't respect their opinion that much. Regardless, science dictates that we push the limits of human potential no matter the moral implications. So, once again, I will attempt to produce the strongest human possible. And the perfect Zoe. First things first though, we need to actually get Zoe. Assuming you beat her tower, you can likely find her trying to hide out in the middle of a church. It's a futile endeavor, as no amount of divine power can hide her from science! Now, once you have her, this is the next step. It's the most important step too, so pay very close attention. Get a pen and paper if you need to. So, Zoe has a quest line where you can get both her and Grisboard as a pal. Do that quest line, finish those quests if you haven't already, and then, afterwards, talk to her again. This time, she will give you a quest to make a Halloween costume for her. Craft that and give it to her. Then, go to your base, build a PAL dressing facility available in technology level 2, and use that structure to make your cat Zoe become a cat girl. Okay, you got that written down and finished? Good. Alright, with the most important step done, let's analyze Zoe's base form. The Zoe we caught has Vanguard, and that's the only passive skill she has. Not a bad passive skill, it's good for support pals, but for the perfection we're searching for, it's mediocre. She's level 15, has 0 power souls, 0 stars, 0 partner skill, only 1 move/active skill, pretty lackluster potential, only level 3 handiwork for work suitability, almost in every way imaginable. She sucks and is completely unviable. The only good thing about her is that she doesn't eat much. But an amazing thing about Palworld is that it gives us all the tools and more to change all these things. Before Palworld 1.0, this particular Zoe would actually be considered useless, as only Yakumo can give diamond passive skills to humans, so we would need to slaughter her. But technology has advanced since that barbaric time a few weeks ago. Now, we can use something called ancient relics. Ancient relics are... well... They're a beautiful thing. They're locked to the endgame, but for good reason. Ancient relics are possible drops from World Tree pals that can be recycled using this machine. And while they give us many fantastic items, some of which we'll revisit later, what we're interested right now are these disposable implants. These implants contain some of the best passive skills available, and once we have them, we can easily implant them into Zoe using our completely safe and not at all sketchy surgery table. Now, there's a few solid builds we can form from this, and really it's up to personal preference, but my build is objectively the best. The 4 passive skills I chose were God of Destruction, Diamond Body, Immortality, and Heavily Armored. Now, this might seem like a pretty fucking weird build. The first 3 are just attack and defense modifiers and some other perks for survivability, but the 4th, Heavily Armored, only grants immunity to explosion damage. And because I'm a genius, I already know what you're thinking. That seems really situational and not very useful at all. Well, I thought so too when I first saw this perk. But let me lay you in on something. There's a move in this game called Implode. With Pal using this move charges the target at Mach 10 and explodes, trading their life for extremely high damage. Do you get where this is heading? Heavily Armored, which grants immunity to explosion damage, makes it so that when a Pal uses Implode, they not only don't die, but they take no self-damage whatsoever for using this move. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you for a second here. I got zero clue whether or not this is actually the highest damage possible with Zoe. In fact, it's most likely not. But what I do know is that it's hilarious, so I'm doing it anyway. I do know that Megaton Implode does exist, by the way, which is an upgraded and much better version of Implode. But unfortunately, that move is limited to only being bred onto Pals. And despite my numerous scientific attempts... Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, what else can we do? We have a horse. Do we have a horse? I have an idea. Humans cannot be bred in the traditional sense. It's very disappointing. And for this reason, you can understand why I must take my 9.9 rating of Palworld down to a negative 9.9. Being unable to breed humans, by the way, is the same reason why we can't put a passive skill like Legend on the Zoe, if anyone was wondering that. Next is moves, or they're technically called active skills, but I'm just going to be calling them moves. We need Zoe to have the top of the line moves. Once again, before 1.0, this would have been a very arduous process. You would have to either grind tickets from winning at the arena to buy skill fruits, or farm them yourself with a skill fruit orchard. Is that how it's... Is it orchard or orchid? Orchard. Or... It's orchard. No, it's orchid. Whatever. Or farm them yourself with a skill fruit orchard, where there is a teensy tiny chance of getting a skill fruit mutation, and an even lower chance of that mutation providing the skill fruit you're actually looking for. And also, did I mention that each skill fruit batch takes somewhere around an hour to grow? Can you tell I hated that method? But none of that is necessary anymore, because skill fruits can also be recycled from ancient relics. Bro, I fucking love this thing. That was my initial reaction anyways, but I learned that there are some key skill fruits, mainly lower tier skill fruits, that ancient relics don't actually drop. key skill fruits that we will need for the build we're doing. And the hellish cherry on top is that they're skill fruits that we also can't get using our previous methods. Somehow, someway, skill fruits always end up being the bane of my existence. But we'll talk about that when we cross that bridge. For now, first things first. What are the best moves? To answer that question, I did some in-depth research and studying and science things that science people do. Because, well, I am somewhat of a science people myself. I watched the video from the PAL professor. Ultimately, I determined the best moves were Implode, Splash, and Lightning Streak. Implode, I already explained why we're using this move. It's funny. But Splash and Lightning Streak have some actual tactics to why we're choosing them. Splash has low cooldown and gives a soaked effect to the enemy. Same thing goes with Lightning Streak, except it gives the Electrify status effect. Soaked increases the damage received from electric attacks, and Electrify increases the damage received by water attacks. So, these two moves boost each other. But the skill fruits for these two moves cannot be gotten from ancient relics, nor can they be gotten from the arena or any other shop that I know of. They can only be gotten from skill fruit orchard mutations, natural skill fruit trees, chests, or fishing. Fortunately, I already got a Splash skill fruit sometime in my playthrough from somewhere I don't remember, but there is still the Lightning Streak skill fruit that I don't have. So I looked at the locations they can spawn on natural skill fruit trees, checked those, and fortunately found one. And to be safe, I built some skill fruit orchards and planted these two fruits here just in case we'll ever need these in the future. So we got passive skills down, and we got moves down. If you look at the screen, you might have noticed the 4 stars. Every PAL has this, and each star upgrades base stats, work suitability level, and the PAL's partner skill. Zoe, she doesn't have a partner skill. But just for the base stat and work suitability increase, let's do this. To get Zoe, or any other PAL to 4 stars, there are 2 main ways: Star Fruits and Condensing. Star Fruits is usually the way to go, as they can be pretty cheaply bought using dog coins at the Fat Ugly Bastard. And you can get a shit ton of dog coins easily from Memogs if you use Catris, whose ability increases neutral drops by 80%. Memogs spawn decently frequently if you follow this path repeatedly in the World Tree area. You can also get Star Fruits from Ancient Relics, but at this point you sort of already know that everything comes from Ancient Relics. Now, keep all of that explaining in mind, okay? Because we won't be using any of it. While that method is best for PALs, for humans, I personally prefer condensing, through sacrificing 48 of the same species of a PAL in this very scientific device that looks oddly similar to a blender. That PAL will be boosted up to 4 stars. This is the process of condensing. What makes this better to use than Star Fruits for humans is that humans are a very plentiful species on Palpago's Island. They are very crowded, very concentrated, practically begging me to capture them. Anyways, this is to say that while 48 is a lot to capture, for humans 48 is a very easy number, and you can capture that many very quickly in places like enemy bases or the oil rig. Besides, I want you to consider this very carefully. Which is more valuable? The lives of 48 people or 750 dog coins? I rest my case. Fourth step, IVs. Well, kind of. They basically work like Pokemon IVs, but in this game they're called potential. If you don't see these three numbers, it means you don't have either the ability glasses or the Pal Tamer's glasses equipped in your accessories. We can increase this potential to further increase Zoe's base stats using stat fruits. Before 1.0, the best method I found was farming the Moonlord raid boss, which drops 3 stat fruits for each victory. Now, this is still a viable option. Hey, so actually, hey, it's me from the future editing this. Yeah, it's not viable actually because they just released an update like yesterday as I'm recording this that removed the ability to get skill fruits from the Moonlord boss, so yeah, that's like no longer an option. Let's just quick little update. Okay, back to the video. But now you can also get stat fruits from, you guessed it, ancient relics. But the easiest way is actually probably just to buy them with dog coins from the metal merchant, which I talked about before. So that whole joke about how my explanation about farming dog coins was just pointless and me wasting time, yeah, I lied about that. It was a double lie. I fooled you. My mind is starting to break at this point, trying to remember all of the steps you need to min-max a pal because of just how much you need to do. Right, okay, so passive skills, moves, stars, and potential all taken care of. Now, work suitability handbooks. With this, we can increase the work suitability of Zoe, making her be able to better handle base tasks. Is this step at all necessary considering we're making a combat pal and not a work pal? No, not at all, but I can't call this the perfect Zoe if I just skip over this step. Plus, this step lets me talk about an interesting fun fact in the game that many might not know about. There are 3 enemy bases in the ocean surrounding the far parts of Fabric. 2 of these metal structures, and a pirate ship that's... I don't know if this structure is used anywhere else in the game. The reason I'm mentioning these 3 bases is because the big chests of these bases always have a legendary treasure map inside. It's guaranteed. And every legendary treasure location always gives you 3 work suitability books. So that's 9 work suitability books per hour, which is when the bases naturally reset. And these treasure locations also have a chance, a low chance albeit, of having legendary schematics of the highest tier armor and weapons in the game. There is also another reason why you'll want to do these bases that will help with the step after this. You can also get the work suitability books from this guy, again using dog coins. And you can get the work suitability books from ancient relics as usual. But like I said, you should just do these bases because it'll be helpful for other things as well, both in and out of this experiment. On whatever step we're on at this point is trust level. Pals have a trust level that increases as you use them by your side, and base stats of a pal increase the higher trust level they have with you. Getting Zoe to trust level 10, which is the match level, is our next step. But grinding these trust levels the normal way, it can be a bit boring. Fortunately, there are things called kinship peaches, which can be used on a pal to manipulate its feelings and artificially raise its trust level. And you can get enough of these kinship peaches very quickly by doing enemy bases, such as the ones at Fabric I mentioned prior to this. you get 1 Kitsapete out of the big main chests, and you get a little Kitsapete if you go through the extra hassle of rescuing the caged pal that's always present at an enemy base. And to get a pal from the starting level to the maximum of 10, you only need 10 of the regular pizzas. You can also get Kitsapete from expeditions and the bounty shop, and before you ask, yes, ancient relics. While I was talking about levels, I realized I had neglected one of the most obvious steps. So obvious, I guess I forgot about it. And that's just Zoe's normal levels. The max level in this game is 80, and we can get there relatively quickly by doing the final boss with Zoe in our party. You don't need to put Zoe into the battle, you just need to have her in your party because XP is shared across the team. You could do this multiple times, or just do it once and then get the final kind of grindy levels after that out of the way using training crystals, which raises a powers level by 1. And a good way to get training crystals is the Moonlord raid boss. Hey yo, so it's me again from the future editing this. Yeah, you know how I talked earlier about how Moonlord got updated and he doesn't drop stat fruits anymore? Yeah, he also doesn't drop training crystals anymore. So, yeah. Though, you might not have to do Moonlord. You might get to level 80 just by doing the final boss once if you use Omascal, who increases party powers XP gained by a maximum of 80%, and pair that with the growth acceleration bell, and maybe there's also some other things that increase XP gain in this game. I don't really know, and if I test that theory, I'm gonna be spending even more time on this game, and I've already spent way too much. Also, I am obligated to say this at this point. Let's just get it over with. Yes, training crystals can also be gotten from ancient relics. Now, you might be a little bit tired by now. So let's take a break with an easy task this time. Pal Souls. With this Anubis statue that you can build at your base, you can use the souls of other pals to imbue a living pal with strength, increasing the base stats of your choosing. And I've noticed this is getting a bit less scientific. Anyways, we can do that pretty easily. And by the stage you're at in the game, you should have a lot of power souls stocked up. If you don't though, you can get small power souls up to large power souls just by finding them scattered around on the ground, basically anywhere. And you can get giant power souls from killing predator pals which randomly spawn across the map. They're like bigger than normal pals, they got this red aura going on, and they have this sound that you can't really miss. So do this step as a little breather. Are you waiting for me to say something? No. No, believe it or not, power souls cannot be gotten from ancient relics. And with that, we've done everything that we can do with Zoe. We've done passive skills, moves, technically called active skills, stars, potential, work suitability, trust level, regular levels, and finally, pal souls. Now, there was a new mechanic that was introduced in Palworld 1.0 called Awakening, where you can craft these crystals and use them on a pal to increase their base stats even further by a bit, and give them this cool golden aura effect. But you can't awaken humans, because awakening crystals are classified by typing, and humans don't have a set typing. So he's not electric or neutral or whatever. So yeah, we've done everything we can do with Zoe. But there's a little bit more that we have to do in the goal of perfection. Because we can also boost Zoe through outside sources, such as accessories, or other Pal's passive partner skills, like Cremus, who increases attack of neutral Pals. Though not specifically Cremus, given how we saw Awakenings work earlier, Zoe likely doesn't classify as neutral, and we wouldn't get the boost from the whatever. Anyways, so, for accessories, I equipped Lord of the Seas Baton, Lord of Lightning's Baton, Neptilius's Talisman, and Oizurk's Talisman. The batons increase base Pal attack damage and increase a Pal's elemental attack damage. In this case, electric and water. The talismans do the same thing, except instead of increasing base Pal attack, they increase base Pal defense. For the Pals that will be taking a backseat in our party and just boosting Zoe, we'll be using Joymantide, Univolt, Pen King Lux, and that's actually it. I couldn't really find a fourth Pal that boosted solely Zoe. There's Oizurk, which does boost the damage of the Pal fighting alongside you, but it comes at the caveat that to get that damage boost, the player needs to fire at the enemy. And for this experiment, I want to void player damage entirely. For the most accurate results, I want all damage to come from Zoe and Zoe alone. So for that reason, Oizurk is out of the picture. But I don't feel right about just leaving one slot open, so we'll put, I don't know, Peardon Crest. Their partner skill reduces the dragon damage dealt to ourselves and our Pal. And that will be important because of what tests we will be subjecting our Zoe to in the end. So here's what the other three Pals do. Joymantide increases damage to enemies affected by Soak. Univolt increases Pal's electric damage to weak points. Pen King Lux is basically just Univolt but with water damage instead of electric. Since we're using these Pals for their partner skills, we also have to get them all to 4 stars. Now, there's another outside source that is used to boost Pals that I haven't mentioned yet. The Mega Boost Gun, which basically injects insane amounts of steroids into your Pals, temporarily boosting their attack and defense for a duration. The reason I didn't mention this beautiful tool is because for some reason it doesn't work on humans. I injected Zoe with probably a dozen of these things and nothing happened. So I guess with talismans and booster Pals, this is it. We're actually done. After all of this work, we have brought Zoe to absolute perfection. And now, all that's left is to test out our beautiful creation. We'll be putting our Zoe through 2 tests. The first is seeing if Zoe can solo Ori and Xiaolong, the second to last boss in the game, without any involvement from me or any other Pals. And if that goes well, the second test will be seeing if Zoe can solo the final boss of the game with the same restrictions in place. Though, if it does come to that, I'll put a spoiler warning on screen beforehand, so don't worry about that. This is where Peardon Crest's ability comes in, because both these bosses contain dragon attacks in their arsenal. Now, my hypothesis is that Zoe will absolutely clear the first test. Not only is she min-maxed to hell, but she also just has a 12 level advantage. However, in test 2, I don't think she is strong enough to clear the final boss of the game. At best, I think she gets 3/4 of the boss's health down, and even that, I think, is being very optimistic. So, with that hypothesis in mind, let's see what actually happens. Starting with the first test. Alright, Zoe, are you ready? It's time. We've trained for this. Remember all of the inhumane experiments I performed on you, all for this moment. If you lose this battle, I'm disowning you, okay? Let's go. Okay, Zoe. It might be a bit too hot. No, I think that'll hit. I think that'll hit. Let's see. Let's see that. You missed. Look, man, I can't do anything for you. I can't. I can't use a Mega Boost gun on you. Okay, wait. He's doing actually pretty good damage, though. Oh my gosh, that's really good damage. What the fuck? What the hell? Okay. There is like a 12 level difference. Let's be real. But that is still way higher damage than I kind of expected, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, Zoe. You got this, Zoe. You actually got this. Okay. Okay, you survived the tsunami, which was kind of the thing I was scared about most. Oh fuck, she's stuck. I might have to move her. Nope. Okay, let's fucking go. Oh my gosh. That was goated! That was incredible! Okay. My hypothesis on that was correct. She absolutely just smashed that. But now comes the true test. Let's see if she can defeat the final boss of the game without anything, without my interference, help, whatever you want to call it. Let's see. And here's your warning. Here's your warning right now. Here's a spoiler warning in case you haven't made it to the final boss in the game yet and you don't want to see it. You want to see it for yourself. Here's your warning right now. Alright. Now I don't think that Zoe's gonna be able to do this. I hope she is, but I'm a little bit sketchy. Come on, Zoe, show me what you have. This is your battle. I trust in you. If Zoe can take down the Calamity, there is no excuse why that old civilization died or lost to it. This might be the most embarrassing tale yet. Not the greatest time for that. Oh my gosh, he's below it! Okay, that's okay damage actually. That's, oh my gosh, what the fuck? That's actually good damage. What? There's no way this is real. There's no way that she's gonna beat this. There's no way. She's out healing all the damage. Okay, I can't do anything here. I can't do anything here, Zoe. It's all you. Ooh. Oh, that's sick. Oh, that's cool. What a strange picture. Okay, Zoe is still... she's getting hit a lot. But that was like a big move that she got hit by. Ooh, but she missed that. Okay, Zoe. I think she still has a chance here, though. Oh, I think he's gonna die here. Oh my gosh, she's barely... okay, she's dead, she's dead. I said no interference, but I kind of just want to see at this point, you know? She died. She got pretty damn far. I say we heal her. I'm gonna revive her, just for the sake of content, and heal her up. I know that kind of goes against the rules of no interfering, but I'm just kind of interested to see if she can beat Sonara with this. I honestly think Sonara is affected by status attacks, status moves, I'm realizing. Oh, what good music! I usually beat the boss too fast, so I never listen to the full song track, but this is epic! I legitimately thought my hypothesis was overestimating Zoe. I underestimated her again! This is insane! Okay, see, let's count that as a death. I did save her, but we'll count that as another death. So she's died 2 times in this fight. Oh, damn. That implode attack, honestly, I think if we remove Zoe's implode attack and change it with something else. Yeah, we need to just look so. Okay, no, we so you got this. I think if we change Zoe's implode attack with something else, she could actually beat the boss. Okay, let's go! Zoe beat the final boss. Now I did take a few revives and healing. That was pretty good though. I can't believe that. I can't believe that actually happened. The experiment was not only a resounding success again, but it actually was above even my expectations. Besides me healing her in the final boss fight, Zoe did everything on her lonesome. And that was with the handicap of me using the stupid implode build on her. Without that handicap, she likely would have performed even better. So, as a reward for her hard work and participation in this scientific endeavor, I have officially added this Zoe to my main party. When I'm not slaving her around, I'm sure this is an achievement she will hang on her wall proudly. What have we learned from this experiment? Firstly, when in doubt, ancient relic. But secondly, through ingenuity, lack of ethics, and most importantly, science, even humans can match up to the strongest of pals. Thank you so much for watching. I highly doubt this video will get the insane amount of views the last video did. Thank you for that, by the way. But that's fine. This was a blast to record and edit, and it really gave me a new depreciation of my voice, having to listen to it so many times over. But jokes aside, this was really fun to do. I'm not gonna become a Palworld exclusive YouTuber or anything like that, but I have some ideas still that I think will be fun to do in this game, so look forward to that. And with that aside, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day, week, month, lifetime even. Goodbye, or see you later.